David, we have the Chicago Bears versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'll hit you with the projections and we'll talk about it. Mitchell Trubisky, I have a ridiculous projection on this week. I have him projected at a 31. I had him as a look. I'm not playing him over Major, and I like Minshew more, who we were just talking about. But daily fantasy, super flex. Trubisky's a guy that's going to have some juice this year. He uses his legs. He throws to Allen Robinson. I would like to see him throw the ball and spread it around a little bit more, but he is what he is. But he will get you some touchdowns this week. I like this matchup for him, especially against an Atlanta defense. So he's a start for me. Montgomery is a start. Cohen is not. Then I got Allen Robinson as a start. Anthony Miller, that's a coin flip every week, whether or not. I have a startable projection on him, but I just stay away from him. I think he's too volatile. And then I'm away from everybody else in Chicago. Don't like tight end there. For Atlanta, look, Chicago's defense is for real. They're better. They're not as good as 2018, but they're better than last year's 2019 version. Still, Matt Ryan, I think you got to start him. We got to monitor what's going on with Julio Jones. He was a little banged up. But Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage are still going to get targets. They're starts for me. I'm kind of a sit on Gurley this week. Don't like the matchup. Hayden Hurst, thank goodness we saw some juice from Hayden Hurst this week because I was a little worried about it, but we saw what we needed to see. He is a start for me as well. So why don't you take it away, David?
Well, we talked about it last week, and I'll start with Hayden Hurst just because after week one there was a lot of panic for Hayden Hurst, but said it last week. It was the first game with Matt Ryan. All three Falcons wideouts, caught 9 passes week one. That wasn't going to continue to happen. And I think this week definitely eased the minds of Hayden Hurst owners across the globe because he finished with 5 for 72 and a touchdown. And this was with Matt Ryan only attempting 36 passes. So that's probably towards the middle end, maybe the lower end of the Matt Ryan spectrum. We're going to see games where he attempts more passes than that. And the concern was kind of after week one that it's going to be either Hurst or Gage on a weekly basis, right? Like it's going to be one or the other. We found out this week both of these guys can succeed at the same time, which is kind of, I don't want to say worrisome for Julio Jones, but it is telling that through 2 weeks, Russell Gage is not only outperforming Julio Jones, he's out-targeting him. So I am a little bit worried. It's Julio Jones. I mean, let's not blow this out of proportion here. But maybe he is starting to decline as a player. You talk about the injuries, like maybe he's starting to hit that curve and kind of come back down the other side a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously Julio's ceiling, even when he's on his decline, is so much higher than everybody else. But I hear what you're saying. One of the weirdest things about Julio Jones when we've been tracking offenses, statistics, how defenses cover and everybody else. One of the weird things is all of these really like top flight, I'm talking like top 3 wide receivers, that top tier wide receiver there. Of all those receivers, he catches like the least amount of touchdown passes. It's the weirdest thing.
Oh, he dropped the long one too.
I know, from Russell Gage, oddly enough. Yeah. Oh, it was right in the breadbasket. I think that's the play that he actually came up a little lame on, if memory serves. But yeah, dude, like it's a little weird, but this Atlanta Falcons offense, they spread it around. And talking about Hayden Hurst for a second, what I do like about Atlanta and Hayden Hurst is they look for him in short yardage. They look for him in the goal line, which means that they trust him. They trust him in the play calling. If the targets don't go there all game, he might finish with 3 targets, but they'll be high-quality targets because Atlanta will be in the red zone probably 3 to 4 times a game based on that offense. So, again, I'm breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, too. Hurst will be just fine. If he threw up like a 4-target game, I'd have been like, I wouldn't have waived him or anything, but I would have been... I would have been a DEFCON 4 or something like that, right?
Let me say with Jones, though, even though I'm a little worried about his ceiling, it's still probably a buy low opportunity because he's, Julio, he'll have a 200-yard game within the next 2 weeks to just quiet all the doubters. That's what he does.
Absolutely. On the Chicago side, look, they're not the sexiest offense in the world. I don't like the offense. I know that they came out and Nagy was like all the rage when the Bears made the playoffs and Trubisky in his second year and like all that stuff. I think it was his second year. Yeah, I believe so. I'm not a big buyer on Montgomery. Haven't been, although he played okay. Tariq Cohen got the extension. I usually am a little bit higher on him, although I don't like the projection this week. But in week 1, Trubisky spread the ball around. We saw Anthony Miller. I said, okay, well, is that going to happen 2 weeks in a row? It was more of the old school Trubisky. I'm just going to chuck it up to Allen Robinson, which is great if you own Allen Robinson. I just don't like the offense. But they're playing a soft defense, so we'll see what happens. Anything on Chicago before I move on to the spread, David?
I just think Anthony Miller's probably an intriguing DFS dart throw against that Atlanta
DFS, yeah.
secondary.
I'm not playing him in my fantasy leagues. DFS, I have no qualms about that. In fact, having a cheap Trubisky and Anthony Miller DFS stack is a nice strategy because then you can load up elsewhere. And probably Jerick McKinnon at running back this week because he's going to get an uptick.
Ooh, wait till we talk about him.
Yeah, I know, right? So let me hit you with the line, David. We got Chicago +3 versus Atlanta. Who do you got?
I'm gonna take Atlanta here just because I feel like they're really, really desperate for that win, especially after that tough loss to the Cowboys here.
How do you get 3 turnovers in the first quarter and blow that game at the end? And then that onside kick for Atlanta, indefensible. I actually saw a little. I didn't read the story. I saw the headline. Quinn said the Atlanta Falcons special teams unit quote definitely know the rules. That's how bad it was. That was the headline. Yeah, our team knows the rules of an onside. I mean, seriously, there's like 6 Falcons around the ball. You're allowed to jump on the ball, man. Like there was one bear crashing in and like 6 Falcons. Just jump on that thing, man. I know it's a hot potato, but come on, man. That was so bad. So bad. Anyway, if I were setting a line, this is the second one in a row, actually, because I set these lines before I look at them, and I had Chicago +3 at Atlanta. I think Atlanta wins the game, and I think it's a push, but if I'm going to take one, I'm going to take Chicago to keep that game close. I don't like it. I'm not spending my money on it. Second time in a row I said that, but that line I think is very well set. I have it as Atlanta 27, Chicago 24, so I'm right on that line.